Keilani obviously carrying some momentum from her big win in the pump track just last night. And she always loves these opportunities to line up against Jill Kintner, doesn't she, Alan?
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a tight race. Every one of these heats in the men and the women could be a gold medal match, so this racing is going to be extremely exciting. Here we go.
Run number 1 in our round of 8s. Here we go, Keilani Hines and Jill Kintner.
Both riders with solid starts. Looks like Jill gets a little bit of an advantage out of that start, gets that hole shot, but it's a long track down here, and this track really starts to speed up out of these next 2 turns. You see them jump this step down into these rollers here, and it's like a rocket out of those turns all the way down into the bottom. Jill just looking perfect, as she does. Extremely competitive. Getting that first quarterfinal win under her belt, no problem getting that maximum 1.5 advantage.
Wow, look at that, full 1.5 max differential. Keilani Hines was the number 8 qualifier, so Jill looking to just deliver on that promise. Every time you qualify first, you feel like it's your duty to win the race. So here in the first run of the round of 8 here, to get a 1.5, that's gotta feel great.
I mean, the snap out of the gate from Jill was just huge. You can just tell that she's got that background in BMX, and you know what, I don't think you forget how to ride. You might not be seen as much on the circuit, but she still works just as hard. And
just like riding a bike, you never forget.
Quite literally. Well, I hope so.
Turns out living in Bellingham, Washington is an okay place to stay brushed up on your skills.
Yeah,
Jill
that's
Kintner
cool.
with the advantage going into run number 2 against Keilani Hines. We'll get them back up to the top of the course. Switch sides, and of course the way it works here in dual slalom is the rider with the fastest combined time will make it into the next round, which will be the round of 4. We had a ton of rain to start out the festival, which did great things to the trails. The trails have been absolutely perfect. The lift lines have been long to start, then you get up on Garbanzo and enjoy all the trails that Whistler Mountain Bike Park has to offer. And then you cozy up on the patio with a nice brew to watch some racing this evening. And I feel like this is definitely worth cozying up with a beer to watch. This is the queen of Crankworx, Caroline Buchanan. She locked up that crown last night with still 2 events left to go. She's still racing here in slalom, which is exciting.
Yeah, you know, she wants to come out here and really sort of solidify that queen. Able to do it back-to-back seasons. Unbelievable season out of Caroline.
Caroline, the number 4 qualifier. She's lining up in the gate against Louise Ferguson, who took 4th last night in pump track. So 4 and 5 qualifiers, this could be a tight one.
Caroline snaps out of that gate. You see that BMX really oozing through on that start. 1.3 advantage, but Louise pulling right alongside a little early here. So she's building on her way down this course. Let's see if she can maintain that momentum and stay ahead of Caroline.
I mean, there are those technical sections on the track we'll get to speak to Elliot about later, but that one tight turn where Louise kind of pulled ahead, it's a bit flat and you kind of got to flick around the post. So a little bit of technical skills coming from downhill might work today in dual slalom.
Well done there, run number 1 between Caroline and Louise Ferguson. Louise Ferguson grabbing the advantage just under a second. There's a look back. We got Schizo Freak cheering for Louise.
Yeah, this course is super technical. A couple of different types of turns. You see them here pumping through, gaining momentum. Very similar to last night's pump track, railing these berms, just really using all of the features to build their momentum around all the way down the course. And then when they get down here towards the bottom where the trail gets a little bit steeper and they kind of drop off into the village, that's when it gets technical. Flat turns, minimum ruts, it's dusty, it's slippery. Talking to Baz a little bit earlier, and he was saying he was risking his life to get to the finish line.
That was a good run there between Louise and Caroline. Elliot standing by with Caroline.
Caroline Buchanan, you've had a night for it to sink in, but you are the queen of Crankworx. How does it feel?
Oh, I can't believe it. Last year it came down to the final round, the final event, and to be told last night after such an incredibly long season, downhill, air downhill, pump track, slalom, speed and style, to have so many medals and to everything come down to last night, like the emotions haven't set in. I didn't sleep much. My body battery is definitely low today. Just so grateful to everyone that's helped me, to the Ava Hotel that have supported me this entire month, basically. It's probably the best place to be, Whistler, to wrap up a title.
And I mean, your week is not done. How do you feel going into this race today? What is your goal?
Yeah, so today the top 8 girls in dual slaloms is probably one of the biggest matchups we've ever had. Every race is stacked. Hopefully I can peel back some time into Lou on the fast round this next one, but I think honestly I'm just enjoying the moment and taking it all in, and so glad I wrapped up the second title.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good stuff. It's got to feel good waking up after spending so much time training to wake up this morning at the hotel and go, oh, I did it. And I get to race today. This will be fun. So make sure you join the conversation. It's pretty fun here on the Red Bull Bike YouTube channel. We're reading all of your comments here in the chat box. We may even throw some of them on the screen. I'm looking at them here on the iPad. So we'd love to chat with you. We got Ellie Smith going up against Harriet Burbage-Smith right now, who's been on a tear in dual slalom as of late.
Yeah, Harriet kind of nursing a little bit of an elbow injury earlier this week. She's looking really, really good on top form. Ellie Smith choosing to ride that downhill bike. We saw her make that thing work and actually gain some time on her competitor to make it through the round of 16. But Harriet just looking unbelievably smooth, coming down to these flat turns, keeping it upright and able to take that win with a .453 advantage over Ellie Smith.
Yeah, it's cool to see Ellie Smith on the downhill bike. It's kind of the bike of choice out here at the Whistler Mountain Bike Park. So if it's the one you've been spending the most time on, you might as well stay on it for the slalom. But she won in Rotorua, she won in Cairns. She's a number 3 qualifier out here today. And like you said, Alan, despite that elbow, she's looking really strong, isn't she?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it could be working to her advantage. She chose not to race the pump track last night, so maybe a little more energy than some of her competitors that did. Look how it's going to end up in the rest of the day.
So this next heat, loading up in the gate, we got Jordy Scott, who took a 3rd in pump track last night, going up against Martha Gill. Wow, her performance in Innsbruck just a month ago. Let's reminisce.
Yeah, she had an unbelievable race there in Innsbruck. We'd seen her on the podium a couple of times in the slalom, and she talked about how much it meant to her to finally find that top step, and she did it in amazing fashion, looking really strong. Our number 2 qualifier today, so definitely don't count her out, even with the big gun Jill Kittner here.
There's something to be said for that first gold medal on the Crankworx World Tour. You prove it to yourself that it's possible, and yeah, if she finds herself in the gold medal matchup against Jill, that's going to be a big moment in her career and a big opportunity. Right now, there you go, Martha Gill on the left side of your screen going up against Jordy Scott.
Ready, watch the gate.
Gate snaps down. Jordy Scott with a little bit of an advantage coming from that BMX world, so she's going to be comfortable in those gates. But this is where Martha really turns it on. She uses her enduro skills, her downhill skills, her pump track skills, and lets it all come together and loose out here on this slalom track here in Whistler.
She has been training hard. She says she's been working hard for this season in the gym and in and out of the gym, excuse me. And I mean, it really is paying off, and it's making a huge difference to her rider. You can just see how comfortable she is on the bike, especially in dual slalom.
Yeah, Jordy Scott able to gain some of that time back, not quite able to get the win, but keeping it extremely close. Both riders will go back up and hit the other lane. So even if a lane has a little bit of an advantage or a disadvantage, when it all comes down to the end, it's all even because both riders got to race both sides of the track.
Yeah, what are you hearing through the preliminary rounds, you two, about whether or not one side is faster than the other? Is it notable?
Yeah, talking with Elliot a little bit earlier, he was noticing in the round of 32 and round of 16s on the black lane, which is riders right, the turns are a little bit tighter at the bottom where it's flat, so we're going to be looking for some action down there for sure.
We're seeing some pretty tight matchups so far. In our first 4 heats of the women's final here at Crankworx Whistler Dual Slalom, Kittner with the advantage, the max differential of 1.5 over Keilani Hines. Louise Ferguson just under a second over the queen. Caroline Buchanan has 0.4 over Ellie Smith. And right there, we saw Martha Gill, the winner of Innsbruck, the last Crankworx stop. We saw her take the gold. Can she do it again? She's got some fierce competition. As we heard from that interview from Caroline, any one of these first 4 brackets could be a final. So time to focus in on the men's field right now. Let's take a look back at some highlights from the round of 16 and see who we have fighting for gold here in the round of 8. We had Sam Blankenship going up against Utah's Braden Bringhurst. Cool to see Braden out here trying his hand at Crankworx. One of the best bike handlers, really fit guy. Blanky moved through to the round of 8, and then it was Colin Hudson and Tohoto, Alan.
Yeah, Tohoto keeping it really smooth in qualifying, not really overriding at all, just doing what he needed to do. And then Gilchrist, he may have dubbed a new term for this to be the slalom, and that's exactly what he's doing out here, slaying this course, looking super, super clean.
Well, half the Crankworx series are on the Southern Hemisphere, so slalom is not all wrong.
He slays the slalom. I feel like he doesn't want to ride it like a slalom. He wants to ride it like a slalom. Somebody who's been slaying is Eddie Reynolds going up against somebody he rides with a lot down in San Diego, Jonathan Simek. Eddie Reynolds won the whip-off today. He's now found himself a spot in the round of 8 here in slalom. But Bas van Steenbergen, a tough road against Connor Fearon here. And Bas doing what he needs to do, trying to hold out hope for maintaining that King of Crankworx crown. And Lil Rojo, Garrett Meacham going up against Jackson Frew, who's currently sitting in 3rd in the King race.
Yeah, Jackson not too far behind Baz in 2nd place, so he's mathematically out of winning, but he is looking for everything he can out here against these competitors and hoping to gain some points and get a little bit closer to 2nd place in that King hunt.
I mean, look at that. To your point, Jackson Frew is 86 points behind Bas for 2nd place there in the King race. They're going to be in the gate against each other there in Heat 4. We've got the #1 qualifier, Sam Blankensop, the guy who won the air downhill earlier in the week, going up against the current leader in the King race, Tohoto Ariki Pene, who qualified 8th. And then look at this, the teammates. Your big bro, Mick, going up against the young gun that he's been mentoring, Ryan Gilchrist. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I mean, that's exciting. He's always keen to keep those young whippersnappers away from his heels, but they're always chomping, so that will be a very interesting race. And look at all the Southern Hemisphere riders up there. They must be loving the slalom course out there.
Doing it right down there. And then 2 San Diegoans, Reynolds and Warren going there in Heat 3. Well, Alan, you mentioned that the final few gates are very tech. The riders are talking about them. Let's throw it down to Elliot Jackson for a course update.
We are in the men and women quarterfinal round.
Yeah, so you mentioned Ryan Gilchrist and Mick Hanna. I got a chance to talk to both of them, and they mentioned how tight that last gate is. So on the left side, on the red side, you don't really have to brake. On the right side, you have to brake as you're coming over this crest where the vision is impaired because of how tight it is and how steep that last crest is. So a lot of the riders will know I can take some risks there if I can let off the brakes a little bit more than the guy on the or the girl on the left-hand side. I can make it some time coming into the finish, so keep your eye on it.
Oh, we will. That's great insight. And Alan, you had talked to Bas after he came down from one of his preliminary matchups. What did he have to say about that last section?
Yeah, he was on the red side, and he just had this burst. I don't know if it was a mental thing or what it was, and he just burst out and maybe gained 2-3 seconds right down on the end straight there. And I said, do that, do what you did. And his response was, I'm risking my life. So he's sending it.
It may be that rider's right side there, taking the option not to brake. It could be the game changer. Here we go. Tohoto in the hunt for the King of Crankworx, going up against a former King, Sam Blankensop, the #1 qualifier.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line right here between these 2 New Zealanders. Sam, the consummate professional, he's been around for a long time, just barely staying on the course there. But Tohoto, he's got his eyes on the crown, doing what he needs to do. There, you saw him do that little break. He actually did a little bit of a scando flick, making it look unbelievably smooth.
That was so tight, just 0.03 of a second separating Tohoto Ariki Pene from Sam Blankensop. The advantage will belong to Tohoto, and he just clocked the fastest time of the day.
Yeah, the racing today is unbelievably tight. And just watch, Sam made a little mistake coming up. You just go a little, and he's stayed on. I don't even know how he stayed in the gates on track then, but it just shows how hard these guys are trying tonight and just how much they're gonna have to put in to win and get through to the next round every round.
That's what 0.03 of a second looked like right there. And we also got to see what almost taking out a sensor looks like. I don't know how he did that. He willed that bike back onto his lane. Wow. Way to go for Sam holding it together.
Very good point. He did have to will that bike in.
Yeah, Blanky coming in so hot, he couldn't even stop before he got to the barriers.
So we're talking about the fact that we're going to see Mick Hanna and Ryan Gilchrist. Ryan Gilchrist took the win in slalom in Cairns. Let's reminisce about what he had to say post-run out there on that amazing course.
Mick's a teammate, and he's turned into a fine mentor and somebody that I've looked up to like my entire riding life, and to be able to call him a teammate and have him like in my corner giving me, you know, advice and insight is absolutely amazing. And it's his hometown, so they're rolling out the red carpet. So yeah, massive props to him.
Well, I'd say a little too much advice by the look of this gate start, but okay. I mean, Michael is a mentor to a lot of riders, and especially his teammates. So.
Cannot think of a better path to the success we've seen from Ryan Gilchrist than being under the wing of Mick Hanna. They find themselves in the gate together. Let's see what the story will be.
Gilchrist with an unbelievable first jump there, able to pedal out of the gate all the way over the first 2 rollers, accelerating like a madman up there. But Mick's gonna keep him honest. This is where Mick's gonna really turn it on. He can see him. When you can see him out of the corner of your eye, that could play in your benefit. Let's see what he does coming down the finish. Wow. Mick just barely staying in bounds there.
Gilchrist, the winner in slalom from Cairns, a half a second over his mentor there, Mick Hanna. Mick with a second place in the Air DH just a couple days ago. But Ryan Gilchrist, he's burst onto the scene this year. I met him at the TDS Enduro while him and Mick were practicing. Great anytime you get a chance to hang out with these two. But we look back in the results, he was actually here as a young unsponsored rider last year for slalom. Elliot, get in between those guys and have a word.
All right, so Mick, how does it feel to be competing against this guy? He's maybe had your number a little bit this year. Is this the time you're going to try to get him back?
I'm definitely getting him back. Obviously the slower course, I was half a second behind, so we'll see how it goes in the next run.
Ryan, you said it's obviously the slower course. You agree, or?
Oh, I mean, we're racing against a world-class opponent here, so anything's possible. And I mean, it's 2 Yetis are going to make it to the small and big final somewhere. So hopefully the competition we're knocking out is a world-class teammate.
Good luck, you boys.
Yes.
I don't think he looked at Mick when he said that. He was too scared to look.
It's so good.
Yeah, and it's not often you see Michael kind of playing those mental games, but I mean, well, you got to do what you got to do, so just...
I was on the slow course, and I was only a half second behind. Of course I've got this little grom.
Every situation is a teaching moment, and I'm sure Mick would love to teach Gilchrist a little bit of a lesson right now.
Similar scenario here. These guys come from the same area. Austin Bubba Warren, he grabbed the silver in pump yesterday. Eddie Reynolds was in the big show, and he won the whip-off today. Here we go. Only one can make it into the round of 4.
After last night seeing Eddie on course, we know that he is so unbelievably technically strong.
Yeah, Eddie's got some magic flowing through his veins. Look at that as I say it. Able to keep up right next to Bubba Warren and accelerate across the line and gain the advantage of 0.257. You know, we talked about a little bit last night with Eddie. Every once in a while, like we've seen so many riders come and go in the sport of biking. Every once in a while, someone comes along like Eddie that just oozes this talent that you can't put a word to, you can't describe it, and you certainly can't emulate it, but you want to know what it feels like.
Oh, wow, this just in. Let's take a look at Austin's tire here. A potential missed gate. Oh, for sure. That's why he was so bummed in the finish corral.
Yeah, you can see him as soon as he comes across. He's got his head up. He knows. So that's going to be a maximum differential of 1.5. What that means is he's DQ'd. But these riders that are up there, even if they crash and they make a mistake, they're not out. They have that second round with a maximum of 1.5 differential. So it's not over yet, but Eddie's looking pretty good.
Eddie basically just needs to hold it stable and consistent in their next run to be able to move into the round of 4. And that, man, will be such a huge week for him. He'll be doing speed and style tomorrow as well. We caught up with Bass about this ever-evolving race for King.
It's a tight race right now, so we'll see. We'll see how it all plays out. I think both of us have done well this season. Both of us have had our mistakes, so yeah, I think whoever can just kind of keep it together this week will come out ahead. He's obviously killed it the last 2 races, So yeah, it's on me to kind of step it up again to try and keep up. And yeah, it's going to be a good battle.
Well, there are 93 points separating the leader Tehodo from the reigning king, Bas van Steenbergen. And Bas definitely in crunch time right now. He's going to have to hold it strong against Jackson Frew, who's actually only 86 points behind Bas for second in the king race. Remind you, 20,000 for king, 10,000 for second, 5,000 for third. So a lot on the line here in this heat, dropping in.
Both of these riders are super talented and technically sound. Bas with a little bit of a hole shot there. We've been talking about the different courses. Frew getting a little bit of a lead there coming out of the technical top part. Here we come into the flat corners, full speed ahead. Frew with an advantage, gets around those gates. And Bas gives it everything he has.
Wow.
Just not enough.
So Jackson, on what we've kind of been growing to realize is the slower course, dropping the fastest time of the day. Insane performance there for your #2 qualifier, Jackson Frew, showing that that seeding run was no fluke this morning.
And he was saying he's feeling really good on his bike.
So there's a look at our brackets right now after run #1 in our quarterfinals. Tehodo over Blankensop, Gilchrist over Mick, but as Mick says, just a half a second, and I was on the slow course. Gonna be excited to see if Mick can pull back. Then we got the guy who's on the come up, young Shreddy Reynolds, who's gonna have the 1.5 advantage after Austin Warren missed that gate. And then Jackson Frew with just under a half a second over Bas van Steenbergen. Well, big day out here. Exciting Thursday. We've got so much more to come. Tomorrow, Speed and Style, and then of course, Red Bull Joyride coming up on Saturday. This huge crowd is going to bring the intensity that they brought last year. Some of the loudest I've ever heard a crowd at a mountain bike event last year. Now we got Jill Kinner going up against Keilani Hines. Jill has a 1.5 advantage.
Yeah, both these riders spend a lot of time on 20-inch bikes. You can tell at the way they come out of that gate. It looks like Keilani pulling up right alongside of Jill. Maybe a slight advantage here coming down to the main village. Oh, and then Jill just puts on the power through those rollers. And then off of this little gap jump here, they have to jump that one. There's no rolling it. This is where we've seen the riders coming together, but it looks like Jill just a little too strong for Keilani coming into the finish here.
Jill doing a real good job of just keeping the train on the tracks, knowing that she had that maximum differential to her advantage. Jill Kinner secures herself a spot in the semifinals.
Yeah, both riders having really clean runs. I couldn't really pinpoint anything that Keilani did wrong. I think Jill was just too fast and too much on point. You see her railing and pumping through those turns, accelerating every square inch of this track that she can.
You see Jill there coming out of that right-hander. She is not letting the berm make the decision. She's pushing out, generating speed, eyes up, picking her line through these gates. It's just the pinpoint precision we've always come to expect from Jill Kinner. She has not lost any of her speed. Well, Elliot's down, hanging out in the finish corral with Jill.
Jill, you took the win in A-Line earlier in the week. We love having you here. How does it feel to be back in Crankworx Whistler?
Yeah, it feels pretty normal. I mean, I don't live too far away, and yeah, some of my favorite events. I just picked the ones I like the most, and course is running good. It's very technical, and lots of friendly faces around, so it's good times.
Yeah, we saw you looking at the track, you know, kicking some rocks out, checking out the lines. What makes this track so technical?
Just when it gets dry, I mean, you're kind of like on the brakes hard, and then like the bumps, you kind of got to like case them a little bit to slow yourself down, but you also just want to flow with the ground, and it's just really fast, and you got to be aggressive. I don't know, it's like no place you can really shift or pedal, so you're kind of just like at the mercy of the hill a little bit.
And I mean, you have 42 gold medals, over 60 podiums, 3-time Queen of Crankworx. What does it feel like to watch, you know, Caroline and also Tehodo and Bas kind of battling it out? Can you give us some insight into what they would be thinking?
Well, I definitely like watching Bas and Tehodo. In the girls, it's a little harder because I'm like, oh. But yeah, the World Tour is a big commitment, and I've been doing enduro and just trying something new, and it's like all the skill sets kind of combine in this. So it's a nice event. I like it.
Well, congrats and good luck.
Yeah, it's cool to see so many ladies in the field too. It's like new faces, and it's great. It's awesome.
Ooh, I love it. I hope that she sees what's going on here and she's jonesing and we can try to persuade her to come back on tour at some point. She seems hungry.
Yeah, it was a long winter this year, so coming back here to Whistler, she's got a lot pent up watching these racers take those gold medals from her.
She's
nice
like, I
to
can
see her
still
back.
do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little tire check there to see what these riders are running. Max's tires there for Caroline. Caroline's got 0.9 to make up behind Louise Ferguson. Let's see if she can do it.
Yeah, I mean, this track really suits a rider like Louise, being like what Jill said, it's technical, you're at the mercy of the hill, and Louise is no stranger to being at the mercy of a hill like the downhill course. One thing you can't see as much on this track is the gradient. Like, if you try to walk up beside the track, you are walking on your tiptoes the whole way. It is a steep slalom.
So Louise does what she needs to do, keeps it smooth here in this run number 2, and advances into the semifinals where she will meet up with Jill Kintner.
The full category gamut of mountain bike racing.
Well, bravo, good performance out there for Caroline Buchanan, making it into the round of 8.
As we are going to see.
But Louise Ferguson.
Just look at those corners. You can see how rutted up it's getting. And like Jill said, it's technical. And you can see just how steep it is in those bumps. I mean, they're sharp bumps. And you're at the mercy of the hill. But it is like not showing no mercy today, I don't believe.
I think there's something about this hill that plays toward Louise's strengths. She was third here just last year. That's the last time she was on a podium in dual slalom. She hasn't been in the podium or in the bronze medal matchup so far this season. So I feel like there's something about this gradient that you're talking about, something about this dirt that plays toward her strengths. It's going to be exciting to see how she does against Jill.
Well, the dirt really gets roughed up, and then the loose rocks come out, like those marbly rocks, which makes it super slippery. And then, I mean, the gradient is playing a huge part. I would say it would be the steepest track of the season, dual slalom-wise.
Yeah, definitely. It's been interesting to watch the riders, the different techniques they go through the rollers. You know, if you're able to roll the rollers or back tire roll, you're actually gaining momentum. But there's a line there where once their speed gets over a certain amount, it might actually be faster to jump. So you see some of these riders making those decisions between rolling and jumping, and then kind of going back to what Jill was talking about, an old supercross trick. When you don't have enough space to brake, or you're worried about losing traction in braking, you actually case the jump on purpose to manage your speed. So really, really technical track out here. Awesome to see all the different ways to get down.
Well, Harriet was unbeatable in the Southern Hemisphere in slalom so far this season. She took the win in Rotorua. We're looking right now at some highlights from her win in Cairns in dual slalom.
Yeah, another one of the unbelievably high-speed tracks here. Cairns always putting on a show for slalom, and Harriet winning in front of her home country crowd. Crowd loving it, bringing her in here.
So, Harriet with 2 gold medals already this 2023 season. She's got the advantage here over Ellie Smith. It's 0.4. Let's see if she can make it into the semifinals.
So Harriet with a solid gait. Harriet riding more of like a slope style bike, short travel, gonna have smaller wheels. We see Ellie here on the downhill bike, so when it starts getting faster and a little bumpier, that's where Ellie's gonna have that advantage. Let's see if she can make it work for her, but unfortunately it's looking like Harriet is just unstoppable.
Yeah, you just can't quite hit those rollers the same, can you?
Yeah, there was that bigger bike coming into play, but I think Harriet, you know, just doing what she needed to do, keeping Ellie in the corner of her eye. She knew she had that advantage and able to keep it moving.
I mean, it does prove the technicality of the track is that a downhill bike can go ahead and do a time like that.
Yes,
Harriet
years
is
ago.
just too fast.
Yeah, it was years ago, but the last time we saw a downhill bike win slalom was right here on the Boneyard in Whistler. It was Danielle Beecroft. This Boneyard just has a personality, like those rocks that decide to rear their ugly faces throughout the rounds. The course definitely evolves as the day goes on. These 2 bikes could not be any further on the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, you see Ellie coming in there. Those bigger tires and more suspension, that's going to give her more traction down at the bottom. That's why she was able to accelerate and get the win on that heat. But her day is done. Harriet Burbage-Smith moving on. She's stoked though, look at her. All smiles out here in the Whistler Village.
Yeah, I mean, that was very cool to see. And those last steep flat turns, that downhill bike's perfect for that.
Well, Martha Gill loading up in the start gate right now. We picked her brain just about the race for Queen. She was the #2 qualifier here today. She's looking to get those points because, you know, the second and the third are so valuable as well. Let's listen in.
Yeah, I think before I was just thinking about the individual events. Now I'm kind of like thinking about the event as a whole and just like making sure I get through the week and like hold on to that position. That's sort of become more of my main goal this week.
Well, Martha hanging out in second place right now in the Queen. Of course, Caroline has locked it up, but Martha really wants that $10,000 that comes with second place in the Queen overall.
Yeah, and Louise already moving into the semifinals means that she's still got her competition right there. Being that Louise is the one that she's got to fight for second with.
So interesting with Louise and Martha still in this race and only 92 points separating them for that $10,000 spot. Second for the Queen overall. Here we go. Martha Gill and Jordy Scott, the advantage here belonging to Martha.
Yeah, a little bit of an advantage out of the gate for Martha too, but Jordy, notice she's our 10th place qualifier, so she set herself up to be the upset. Let's see if she can do it here against Martha Gill. Her race day has been building extremely fast. Whoa, hard on the brakes there. Saw her rear wheel completely locked up. I'm not sure if she got around that gate or not, but either way, it doesn't matter. Martha Gill able to lock in that advance.
Well, we got to see right there what Elliot was talking about, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. Jordy knew she had that time to make up, and she really came into that section full speed, and it was a little bit too much. She was having to correct and skid, and when you're skidding, you're not building momentum, you're slowing down, and that is not what you want to do in these head-to-head races.
Well, this should be interesting. The second and third qualifiers, Martha Gill and Harriet Burbage-Smith, that's going to be a very tight race. Then we have the #1 qualifier, Jill Kindner, going up against a racer who loves this course. She took the bronze here just a year ago, Louise Ferguson. So the stage is set for the women's semifinals. Looking forward to seeing what we'll have in our final four here for the men as we track all the exciting things to do here in the Whistler Village. Of course, the legend himself, Brandon Semenuk, signing autographs earlier today. Tons of fans out here excited to see their favorite slopestyle riders. The battle developing between David Godziak and Emil Johansson. Probably one of the best slopestyle battles I've ever seen was our last Crankworx stop in Innsbruck, so it'll be exciting to see that take place on Saturday. But the story is not written in the history books yet for the king of Crankworx for the men. Bas van Steenbergen would love to make it 3 years in a row. He's the only guy to do it twice. He would love to swoop the rug out from Tohoto. But looking back to 2017, Adrien Lerone is a former king. We caught up with him about his setup for slalom in this Maxxis tire check.
Hi everyone, I'm Adrien Lerone. We are in Whistler for Crankworx, and this is the Maxxis tire check for Dual Slalom. I'm racing the same setup than the Elan yesterday with the Assegai 2.5 DH casing out front with the 2.0 bars for the pressure, and Minion SS at the back for a maximum speed. I think it's a very good setup for this track, and I might maybe try a smaller wheel at the back for the tight corners, but it would be the same tire. This was my Maxxis tire check. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and maybe it can help you for the race.
Well, we got the next heat loaded up in the gate. Sam Blankensop and Tohoto Ariki Penny. Here's what Sam's running, Alan.
Yeah, it looks like Sam's going with that Assegai in the front as well. What that's telling me is these riders are really relying on that front wheel traction. So the riders on these short travel trail bikes with 29-inch wheels, it's a bigger contact patch. With those combination of the big knobbies and the bigger wheel, that is exactly what they're looking for in order to get around those flat turns.
So Tohoto with a very small advantage, just 0.03 of a second over Blankensop. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, Blanky had a little bit of a mistake in that first one. He definitely wants to show the young boy what's up. But Tohoto with everything on the line here, hunting that king down. Let's see what happens. Blanky with a slight advantage, getting through that section clean.
Man.
And here comes Tehodo. He's pulling up side by side as they come down to the village.
Oh, Tehodo on the fast course. What's it gonna be? Too close to call. Let's let the clock tell us what the story is. Oh, man. Tehodo. All right, we are checking whether or not there was a missed gate here in this heat before we give some official results as to who makes it through into the semifinals. That was a real tight matchup in run 2 of an already tight matchup based on run number 1. Whoa, there we go. That's why Sam is so bummed.
Yeah, he had nothing to lose there. He was rolling the dice, coming in probably faster than he has the entire day. Probably his 30th run down this track, and he was letting it all hang out, trying to make up that time, but unfortunately just couldn't get around that last gate, and Tehodo is going to advance.
Tehodo, just more of the same. The consistency of this man all season is insane. We heard rumors that he was looking back at the first stop thinking, wow, I should have gone harder. I didn't realize that I was a contender for King, but look at him now, securing a spot in the semifinals. Who's he going to meet up with? Is it going to be Mick Hanna, who has a half second to make up against his teammate here, Ryan Gilchrist? I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, we got Mick Hanna on the faster course, as he claims. Let's see what happens. Look at Gilchrist's power over those first obstacles. To be able to pedal and manual through that straight out of the gate, that is pure talent.
Oh. Okay, Mick's gonna have a clear shot at this final straightaway here on the red course. See how much Gilchrist breaks. Wow! Look at Gilchrist, what a performance out here. He advances. He'll be going up against Tehodo in the semifinals.
Man, that was an insane run by Ryan. The way he flicked out of those turns at the top. First of all, he got an unbelievable gate start, and then the way he flicked out of those turns at the top. I mean, I think he's lucky to be racing Michael. See what I mean? He's just using the turn to fully pump. I mean, the technical term would be what exactly, Alan, for
I think
for what he did
he's
there.
railing those turns. That's the technical term I would call him.
He railed so hard he roosted. It looked like he was grabbing throttle. Even out of the gate, just pedal manualing through that double, keeping the back tire on the ground, accelerating. Elliot's hanging out between the teammates again. Let's hear it, Elliot.
Ryan Gilchrist, this track seems to be vibing with you. Does it feel like that?
I feel like I'm vibing with every track. I absolutely love these courses that they're building, and when I can put it together like that, I'm always stoked.
I feel like your teammate has shown us that he's like almost the king of slalom at this point. What do you see? What makes him so good?
Yeah, he's just crushing it. We've got a great program. It's just amazing to have him as a teammate, and it's fun to watch the way he's riding. And really, I mean, our bikes are amazing, and we're having a good time.
Well, good luck. Hopefully he wins, so you can say you got knocked out by the winner.
He will.
Yeah, love the confidence there from Mick.
That's cool.
Mick definitely gave him a run for his money right there. Gilchrist carrying a lot of momentum of a successful season, and it's fun to see him enjoying himself at Crankworx. Obviously, you were mentioning it, Tracy, that he's competing on the E-Enduro Series, but I feel like we've picked up another rider who's going to become a Crankworx staple here. And that's the same story we can say for Eddie Reynolds right here, the youngster who has a 1.5 advantage over Austin Warren because Austin missed that gate. Here we go, Eddie just needs to keep it smooth.
Yeah, he needs to keep it smooth, but he also needs to keep building. You know, we talk about it in these head-to-head events where you're building your speed. If he decides to check up because he knows he has that 1.5, that could really affect his next run. He needs to be building every single lap, and this one is no different. Look at him pulling right alongside of Austin Warren right there.
All right, well, he did what he needed to do right there. Eddie Reynolds is going to advance into the round of 4. We call that the semifinals, but that's such a good point, Alan. You want to be building. You don't want to lose momentum. You want to only know what it feels like to ride this track as fast as you can, right?
Yeah, sometimes if you let the jets cool off just a little bit or the turbos cool off, it's hard to get them spooled back up and you get caught off guard, but looks like Eddie knew what he was doing.
Yeah, and you need to ride the track to its conditions, which are ever changing. Every run you have, you can see that it's getting more and more ripped up. We are in the boneyard after all, so I think you're absolutely on the ball there, Alan, and just trying to ride the track as fast as you possibly can. I mean, he's coming up against the likes of Ryan Gilchrist and things like that, so.
Well, Eddie's into the round of 4. He won the whip off today. Let's talk to him, Elliot.
Eddie Reynolds, you got a big smile on your face. You're into the round of 4. How was Crankworx Whistler so far this week?
Oh, it's amazing. I'm just riding every day, having fun, meeting a ton of people, doing events like these. I'm just hyped to be out here.
I mean, you won the whip-off earlier today. I think you're turning a lot of heads. You know, you think you'll probably do the whole Crankworx World Tour next year?
I don't know about the whole World Tour, but that's the goal. I love this stuff, so I want to keep doing it.
How was Alan Cook in the whip-off on the scale of 1 to 10?
Oh my God, he's one of my favorites. Just growing up watching him. I remember U.S. Open at Big Bear so long ago. I was just like, oh my God. But it's so sick to see him out there. It's so steezy.
You have anything to say to the crowd?
Thank you guys. It's awesome. You know, racing on a big stage like this, it's so sick to have a crowd lined down the sides screaming, and it gets me going.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Does it get any better than when things really just start clicking for you? You're a youngster, you're at Crankworx, you just feel like you can do no wrong.
Yeah, he's definitely on a little bit of a superpower run right now. Watching his performance last night in pump track and the way he rode whip off today, just really, he's, like I said before, he's one of those riders, he's got that, I don't know, the best thing I can say is je ne sais quoi. I don't speak French, but I think that's what he has.
You heard that's a good thing to have.
Yeah.
You know what? He also he said it right there. I'm just been having fun doing laps and racing. You know, he doesn't have a lot of those obligations as well. He's truly just a kid having fun on his bike and tearing through the competition. Speaking of competition, right now we got the number 2 qualifier, Jackson Frew, going up against Bas van Steenberg, and Jackson has the advantage of .46. They're also battling for that second place spot in the King overall, which is worth $10,000.
Absolutely. Keep your eyes on Baz. This is where we come into the point what Trace is talking about, how Baz is able to mentally just beat down his opponents by just pushing it further than anyone has. Right now, he is on the edge. Let's see what he's got coming down to the final through, just a little bit of an advantage. And Baz knows it as he comes across the line. Not going to be enough to advance.
Jackson is just on fire today. Second place qualifier. And he secures himself a spot in the semifinals. He'll be going up against Eddie Reynolds. Well, you know, he's also guaranteed himself at least 4th place points, which is 50 points. He's already just 86 behind Baz for second place.
Yeah, it was interesting there in that slow-mo, seeing the different lines. We saw Baz pumping for more speed, and Jackson feeling like he was already up to speed, and he was jumping through those sections there. Yeah, double tire drift coming down to the line. All these riders are so close to the edge.
Yeah, it's amazing. You can see such a difference in each rider, like the way they attack the course like this. You can see it so easily on the camera and how different they just really do ride the track, even though it's so short.
Well, it's interesting. Jackson was the number 2 qualifier. Blanketsop, our number 1 qualifier, is out of the race. So that really bodes well for Jackson's chances out here. Somebody you never count out when it comes to slalom. He was the winner as we started the season down in Rotorua, New Zealand. He'll be going up against the number 3 qualifier, Eddie Reynolds, who, as we just were discussing, is just on a tear, climbing the ladder and just learning what his potential is right here. That'll be a fun race to watch. Also, Tehodo, who's never a guy you can count out. He's riding that 8th place qualifying position all the way into the round of 4. He'll be going up against Ryan Gilchrist. Now, for the women, Jill Kinner, the number 1 qualifier, going up against Louise Ferguson, who took the bronze here just a year ago. And then another case of 2 versus 3 in our heat number 2 there, Harriet Burbage-Smith and Martha Gill. The stage is set, my friends.
Love seeing these crowds out here. We heard Eddie talking about how fun it is to hear the crowd cheering as he's blasting down this track. Such a cool feeling being at these events. As a rider, there's really nothing better.
Pete Matthews, always one of the guys I hope to bump into in the lift line. Let's see what he's up to.
I've heard it's smooth as a buttery croissant. Someone told me it's tougher than Chuck Norris. Apparently it's magical as f***.
Oh, it's not magic, but you'll think it is. GX Eagle transmission is one of our toughest deraillers. fully rebuildable, and has some of the best shift under load. So when you're coming out of the start gate, you can go as hard as you want and shift without worrying about skipping gears or dropping a chain. Speaking of gears, they'll be using them here. This is the Crankworx Dual Slalom course. These quick corners and tight interchanges will mean riders will have to fire through all their gears if they want to get the edge over their opponent.
Ooh, look at this. Back to racing here. We have Louise Ferguson loading the gate left side of your screen, going up against the #1 qualifier, Jill Kintner. This is an opportunity right here for Louise. I don't think she's ever loaded up into the gate against Jill.
No, I mean, we haven't seen Jill around that much lately, so not many opportunities to be up against her. But a very exciting race. An opportunity and an opportunity. So.
Yeah. Louise, the #3 qualifier. She's the #5 qualifier, it looks like, actually. So this would be pretty impressive if she's able to put a gap here on Jill Kintner. Here we go.
Yeah, you can tell Louise has been putting time in on the slalom discipline. Her starts have improved so much throughout the year. Side by side with Jill. Let's see if she can keep her honest. Dang, both riders looking really good. Louise, oh, Louise gets a little bit of a buff, but makes it work for her. Maybe had to overbrake. So watch for Jill to catch up right here towards the bottom. Louise able to keep her really close.
Well, good job for Louise on two fronts there, holding that together and then also being so aggressive into that left-hander in the flat corners at the bottom. Just .11 separating the leader, Jill, from Louise Ferguson.
I mean, when you get in the gate with Jill, you know that you have to give it all that you got, especially in Dual Slalom. She said she's choosing the races that she loves racing. We know she loves Dual Slalom, and then you're coming up against her in the gate. You've got to give it your all.
We're going to get another look at this here from Louise.
Yeah, let's see if we can see what happened. Maybe her rhythm just got a little bit off as she comes in to this triple roller section, and then she pops out right there and gets a little bit nose heavy. That was a gift for Jill right there, because Louise was quite a ways ahead. You could see Jill across the finish line shaking her head. Oh man, that was a moment. It didn't look like much there, but I can tell you she was holding her breath.
I just see Louise knowing that she needs to lay it all out on the table. She's going up against Jill Kintner, and she was so aggressive in that run.
Yeah, and look at the way she went around those black flags, and we know that they're the most technical on the track. We've seen so many people going over them already, and just the skill to get around them that fast, especially after that whoop-de-doo-dah.
Yeah, she seemed unshook after that. We were more shook than she was.
Well, she raced 11.99 on Sunday, so
ain't no thing.
Nothing much gonna shake her up after that, I imagine.
For sure. If you haven't yet, go watch the replay of the Canadian Open downhill on the new 11.99 downhill track. What a race, what a course, and we can't wait to see races on that track for years to come. Without a doubt, world class, and the racing was something we'll be talking about for a long time. So Jill with the advantage over Louise. Now we got Harriet and Martha. Martha Gill, the #2 qualifier here.
Friends in the gate, they ride together, they hang out together, jump, free ride jumps together, and now up against each other to get in those semifinals, excuse me.
Well, Harriet's the #3 qualifier. She's taken 2 golds so far this season. I have a feeling she's not going to be intimidated going up against the rider who qualified second here today and won the last race in Innsbruck.
Harriet with an amazing gate. Maybe the front end a little bit high, but she does get that whole shot. Here comes Martha. This is where she really starts to shine on that trail bike, where she's going to have more traction, more suspension, and able to really push it. And man, look at Harriet just extending her lead, coming down to the high-speed section, flat turns. You can hear the brakes squeak, and they're doing everything they can to stay on the track.
I mean, Harriet putting a huge differential there over Martha Gill, 0.68, and she clocks the fastest time of the day for the women.
Interesting. So just after we saw a heat where we maybe saw the first little chink in Kintner's armor, where maybe one of the other riders could get a little bit faster than her, but then it comes out right there. Harriet Burbage-Smith with the fastest time of the day.
Well, we have a commenter here on the chat box in the Red Bull Bike YouTube channel. Leandro Veranda saying, hey, Red Bull, play some punk rock music. Do we take requests? If you requested a good race, well, we're delivering on that for you. We got Kintner over Ferguson by a very tight margin. And then Burbage Smith over Martha Gill. And then for the men, we're looking forward to the number 2 and 3 qualifiers, Jackson Fruit and Eddie Reynolds. And then Penny, who knocked out the number 1 qualifier, Blankensoft, going up against a man with tons of momentum here, Ryan Gilchrist. And they're in the gate right now.
Oh man, this is gonna be good.
This is gonna be really good. So Tohoto, leading the king of Crankworx, taking it one race at a time. Right now that race is against Ryan Gilchrist. Here we go.
Both riders really clean. Gilchrist has the advantage on that first obstacle, even though Tohoto had the whole shot. Here they come, both riders on the limit, absolutely on the limit.
Keep in mind, it's just 400ths of a second between these two.
Gilchrist back end sliding into that turn, slowed him down a little bit. Will Tohoto be able to get him?
1,000th of a second in that matchup.
Yeah, Gilchrist with a slight mistake. It looked like he came into that turn a little hot. Rear end sliding all the way in, but not slow enough to not be the fastest time of the day. Look at that.
Man, Gilchrist clocking the fastest time of the day.
I made like a tiny mistake over the left, but like...
Tohoto with the second fastest time of the day in the same run. So that was an unbelievably fast heat.
Look back at the aggression here in this right-hander. Whoa.
Yeah, he hits those berms so hard, but like Alan said, he's coming up where he slides out a bit, and he did give Tohoto that little chance to catch him up. See it just around this bend.
Yeah, he jumped off of that. There's a little bit of a rise there, so what that's gonna do is gravity is not gonna be in your favor when you come over that rise. You're gonna lose a little bit of traction and slide out, and when you're going faster than anybody has gone on the course all day, it might catch you out a little bit.
It was pretty unbelievable how much he laid the bike over in those last 2 black flag turns.
Elliot standing by with Tohoto.
Tohoto, Enrique Pene, I've got some news for you. You are now the king of Crankworx.
True.
How does it feel?
All good. Yeah, all good. Yeah.
Looking back at this week, are there any moments it just felt like you had this amazing consistency? Maybe take me through a little bit of your mindset.
Yeah, throughout the week I've just been feeling good. Prioritizing the riding over anything else, and yeah, been ripping it, so it's all good.
I mean, the crowd, it feels like the crowd's been behind you every step of the way. Let's hear it for Tohoto.
Wow, how about that? What a great season for Tohoto. We said it at the top of the show, if he makes it into the gold medal matchup, he will secure the King of Crankworx overall title. And wow, Ryan Gilchrist made him earn it. Tohoto had the advantage of 800ths of a second there. And Gilchrist put down the fastest time of the day, trying to keep Tohoto from making it into that gold medal matchup. But he is so chill, even when he wins the King of Crankworx. He's like, yeah, I'm just trying to prioritize riding. He's still trying to win the race right here. But that is $20,000 going into Tohoto's pocket. What an accomplishment. It's so good to see. He's definitely one of my favorite riders out there. Been rooting for him all season. And he's picked up a ton of fans this year, signing autographs. We see the chat box going off with support for Tohoto. Look at that.
Yeah, I mean, what a guy. And saying he was prioritizing riding. I mean, yeah, there's so many more things to do in Whistler. Prioritizing riding when you're going for the King of Crankworx seems like a legitimate thing to do. But he's such a people's person, isn't he?
Oh yeah, he's so chill, and possibly one of the only people out here that were destined to be a king. Look up what his name means in New Zealand languages. He was born for it, he was built for it, and he's making it happen out here.
It's almost like too good. The word Ariki, basically in Maori, a word for a leader, a king. And here we go, Tohoto Ariki Penny, just proving that he's the king of Crankworx. We saw Caroline Buchanan lock up the queen yesterday. We see Tohoto do it today, but there is still so much racing here to go. We still got to figure out who's going to win gold, silver, and bronze in the slalom. We got Jackson Frew, the #2 qualifier, going up against the #3 qualifier, the young up-and-comer, Eddie Reynolds.
Jackson with a solid start. Eddie a little bit behind, but Eddie is going to really push in these turns. That's where his magic came out yesterday in the pump track. Look at him just popping out of those turns. But Jackson staying as pitch perfect as he can possibly be. But here comes Eddie down the finish. We know he's got to break a little more on the black side of the track. And Eddie comes across
Eddie by 15/100
with a .157 advantage on Jackson.
And I feel like the star in most riders' hearts, but at 16 years old, your bravery meter.
Were there flames on his goggles before he dropped in? I couldn't.
When you watch him on the course, it's so impressive because, you know, he doesn't have the gate start of Jackson Frew, of Bass. But when he's on the course, he makes up so much time on those riders. You can see he doesn't have the snap, the front wheel, like he doesn't quite get out of the start the way the other boys do, but man, he flies down that course.
He comes sliding into this left-hander. Let's see if we're gonna see it. I believe it's the left-hander after this right-hander. Maybe further down the course, but he unweights and comes sliding into that corner. And it's so aggressive. He just put .15 there on the #2 qual. There it is, it's that one.
Yeah, that's that magic, that thing we keep kind of touching on. You can't teach that. That's not like a technique that, you know, people watch and learn and figure out. That's something that is inside of him, and it is coming out here in this Crankworx slalom course, and I am stoked to get to witness it.
Yeah, you love to see it. So they're going to go back up. We're going to see Jackson Frew in the
So Eddie there with the advantage over Jackson Frew, just like on a quest to slay dragons. How many people who are huge names did he beat in the whip-off today?
All of them.
All of them. And now he's doing it again here in slalom. We saw him make it into the big show just last night in pump track. All right, Jill Kittner with the advantage, a small one of just .11 over Louise Ferguson.
Yeah, look for Jill to be super aggressive on the top of this. Louise had her on her heels. Louise made a slight mistake, able to get the hole shot there. That is super impressive. Going back to talking about how Louise's starts have been building and getting better all season. And she's right there. Let's see how this is going to work out. Looks like Jill slightly off rhythm. Louise pulling side by side as they come down. Let's see what's going to be. Will Jill be able to pull it off? And Louise gets a little bit of an advantage, but is it enough?
Oh, it's .17. I think she only had to make a .11. Look at that. Louise knocks out Jill Kittner. Wow.
Wow, that's a huge run from Louise. To hold it together after that little mess up in her last run and then hold it together to be the actual queen of Crankworx. Jill Kittner
loves this course. She hadn't made it into a medal round all season.
Yeah, it'd be great to hear how she feels about the course. I mean, it looks like it suits her and it suits her style, and it looks like she's so comfortable on it. And so, I mean, just watch her in those corners. Look how loose the corners are getting. They're getting deep now, and you can see the boneyard rocks are coming out in them.
Yeah, that was where Jill maybe got a little bit off rhythm. It looked like her weight was a little bit outside and she wasn't lined up. Usually she was rolling and then jumping. She triple rolled and actually hit the backside and lost a little momentum, but it all came down to this last flat turns. We know that black side's a little bit slower, and Louise not even touching her brakes.
Yeah, she just let it slide through those red flags then, didn't she?
Full commitment, weight over that front tire, just letting that back wheel dance around the flag. Louise, wow, let's hear about how much she loves this course, Elliot.
Louise Ferguson, you just knocked out Jill Kittner in a slalom race. Tell me about that run.
It was a great run. I can't believe it just happened, but yeah, second's going to be my best finish ever. So yeah, managed to not do a nosedive in the second round, which was pretty handy. So yeah.
Is this track pretty technical? I feel like there's been a little bit more mistakes than we normally see in a slalom race.
Yeah, this track's super challenging, especially at the bottom. There's like some loose corners and it's hard not to break in them. So it's a bit, especially at the end of your run, and you can feel someone next to you. So yeah, it's good.
And tell me about your thoughts on Tohoto winning Team Crankworx. I know you know him well. What does that mean to you?
I'm really proud. He's done such a good job all year and he deserves it. He's like all-round rider, like good at pump track, good at downhill. He's just a great person as well, so really proud.
Good luck in the next round.
Thanks, Elliot.
Well, there we go. She got a bronze here just a year ago. Now she's going to walk away with at least a silver. But Louise Ferguson still has a chance of winning this race here today. We're curious who she will be contending in the gold medal matchup. Will it be Harriet Burbage-Smith, loaded in the gate on the left side of your screen right now, or will it be Martha Gill? Harriet has a .68 advantage over Martha. We got Harriet, as you mentioned, Alan, running that slope-style bike setup, 26-inch wheels. It's been working all day for her. Here we go.
One of the things I've noticed out of Martha throughout this whole season is how calculated she is. I think she knew that this is going to be the time. She let that first run go. She gave it to Harriet a little bit, knowing she was not on the faster course. But look at her right now, pushing as hard as she possibly can.
Keep in mind, .68.
It's going to be a big deficit to make up, but here she comes. She pulls alongside, gets the win.
But not going to be enough. Martha crossing the finish line first, but Harriet Burbage-Smith will go up against Louise Ferguson in our gold medal matchup here at Crankworx Whistler Dual Slalom.
They weren't even sure who advanced yet.
Yeah, I think she was maybe wondering who she's going to have to race.
That would, I mean, it is a good question, especially when you know Jill is over racing her heats on the other side. So yeah, but Harriet, she's just untouchable on dual slalom, isn't she, when she's on form? She's so smooth and fast, and she doesn't mind the steep technical trails either.
I mean, the results speak for themselves. She is definitely the one to beat in slalom this year, only missing out on one gold medal so far. And here we go, she's got the chance to get 3 wins. Harriet into the gold medal matchup against Louise Ferguson. Martha Gill will go up against Jill Kintner for a bronze.
So cool to see these riders having fun, equally stoked for their fellow competitors to do well. These riders travel the world together. A lot of them are rooming in the same Airbnbs.
Those two do massive jumps together and huge tricks.
I mean, look at that front brake there on Harriet's bike. The front brake routed down the steer tube. That can only mean one thing. She's getting ready for speed and style tomorrow. And then the day after that, it's going to be all about tricks with Red Bull Joyride. We're going to be doing that at 4:30 local time here in Whistler, BC. Big names: Eric Fedko, Lucas Hooper, David Godzik, Emil Johansson, just to name a few. And this course has been flowing so good. It's been so fun to watch these riders take to practice, Alan.
Yeah, absolutely. Very unique course. Usually that big drop we see right there is the finish, but it's a bit above the finish. We see it come down. We have a spine to a step down, so a different finish to the Joyride course than we've ever seen, which is gonna, I think, bring tricks that we haven't seen before.
I just picture Tim Bringer doing something crazy on that final feature. That jump is going to throw them to the moon. And we've never had a feature quite like that one to end Red Bull Joyride. We've got that flat drop on the middle of the course this year, and we've got guys like David Godzik doing tricks that have never been done in the middle of a slopestyle course. Hopefully that feature will deliver. But yeah, it's gonna be a crazy show. Please join us Saturday, 4:30, Red Bull Joyride. Right now it's all about dual slalom. Back to action in the men's field right now. We got Tohoto and Ryan Gilchrist. Basically a drag race right here. Gilchrist with the advantage of 1,000th of a second.
Yeah, absolutely nothing in it. Tohoto winning the overall king, but he's not done. He wants to win here tonight. Getting the whole shot on Gilchrist. Oh, Gilchrist exploding that berm behind him. There's no pyrotechnics. That is just speed and skill. Tohoto getting a little bit of an advantage. Double tire sliding around that little unweight section. Oh, Gilchrist!
Oh, man!
Wow, Gilchrist down!
Big slam out of Gilchrist. You can tell how fast they're going. He slid about 80 feet down the track. Hopefully he's going to be okay.
Wow. Both riders knew there's only 1,000th of a second in that one. Tohoto making his way back up to make sure Ryan's doing all right.
That was an elbow grater, that one was.
Man, and yeah, no more efficient tool to grate an elbow than the dirt here in the boneyard.
Yeah, you're just looking at it, how rocky it is. That's gonna burn.
Yeah, that was a big slam, unfortunately, for Gilchrist. I couldn't tell really what happened, if it was a slide out before he got to the gate, but he did hit the gate and it just high-sided him. Got some of the world's best medical staff here checking on Gilchrist, making sure he's okay.
Yeah, luckily so far in today's competition, we haven't been putting that medical crew to work, but it's great to know that they're on hand, standing by in case anybody needs them. Ryan Gilchrist absolutely letting it all hang out in that run, knowing that there was only a 1,000th of a second advantage for him there.
Yeah, and we seen him push hard in those berms at the top. We knew it was gonna come down to the line, and
oh my goodness.
He's pushing so hard on course. I mean, he's racing the king.
Elliot, I kind of just caught a replay here on my screen of that. What did it look like from your angle?
Yeah, it all happened so fast. I think we've been talking about it all day. When you come down there, it's almost like a little F1 track. As soon as you get out of the main line, it gets really slippery. So his front tire, from what I saw, just went outside that main line, started to slide, caught traction, and that is what put him over and high-sided him onto that next bit. Super fast, super hard hit, but shows how difficult this track is.
So true. I think he may have even made contact with a gate, but that's definitely the fastest section of the course. Thanks, Elliot. Definitely the fastest section of the course right there, not where you want to go down.
The fastest section of the cheese grater that is the dirt.
Oh, and I mean,
Joyride.
when we speak about Whistler in general, and we've all ridden the bike, when we've all, you know, ridden our bikes here, we've all landed on this dirt, and it is brutal, and it's also unforgiving. Oh,
Alan, just today, it wasn't in the boneyard.
Example.
It was up on Crabapple for the whip-off today. That's true, Tracy. We have definitely all sampled this dirt. We know what it feels like to crash on this, so we feel for Ryan. Right now, he's a tough guy, so medical tending to him. But, you know, we've also got some of the greatest dirt on the planet up here on the trails. It's kind of a love-hate relationship with the dirt out here, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I was out riding, I think it was Tuesday. We had some big rainstorms, dumping rain the whole day, a completely different experience. You know, it was just as fun, but it was slippery. There was no dust. You could follow your friends right behind them. The roots, the rocks, super challenging. And then the next day it was dry in a completely different place. It was so cool.
Yeah, big respect to the course builders as well for creating what they have on this boneyard slope. We hear the crowd cheering right now for Ryan. Great to see him up, standing on his 2 feet. What a tough kid.
Oh man, he's dusty.
Yeah, we got Sloth in the Red Bull Bike YouTube channel chat box saying, I love Red Bull's events because they push the limits. Gilchrist definitely knowing that he had to push the limits right there if he wanted to knock out the recently crowned king, Tohoto Ariki Penne. They were in the middle of a drag race right there, and wow, it would have been cool to see what the differential would have been if they were both able to cross the finish line. But also, great to see Tohoto up there checking on him right away. Let's take a look back at what happened.
Yeah, let's see if we can see exactly what Elliot's talking about.
Oh.
Yeah, he lost a little bit of traction there. Oh, and his arm actually caught the gate there. And look at him, he's still going. That was about a 150-foot long crash.
It looked like his front tire caught that gate.
His front tire washed, but it slid out and then it hooked up, and then it flicked him, and then his arm just wanted to hold on to that gate on his way down. So he's gonna be hurting.
Yeah, it almost looked like it started just one gate above it. You know, Elliot was talking about how that little rise coming into those flat turns was blind, and he knew what was on the line and did not touch the brakes, and I feel like he was just maybe an inch or two outside of where he wanted to be, just maybe a little bit late, and then when he made that shift back, he was out in those marbles, like that F1 track example that Elliot was able to give us.
Yeah, he's got blood everywhere, doesn't he?
There's one for the highlight reel right here. Just the gladiator walking out of the arena. What a week, what a season.
He's fought in the boneyard with the Lions, and he's walking away.
Yeah.
That is a win, Ryan.
They make him tough in this sport, turns out.
Well, in Australia.
They make them. There you go, Trace. One for Australia. That's for sure. They make him tough in Australia.
Yeah, he's a legend. All right, Foxy.
That's you know, that's all a part of the process right here. He's picking up fans based on his results, how funny he is in those interviews, and you know, people are going to be rooting for him next time they see him take to the course because they've seen what he's got to go through. Everybody's got to go through so much if they want to make it in any of these disciplines. Whoa, okay. We have a little bit of a plot twist here. Tohoto missed the gate looking back at Gilchrist. I don't know, he may have missed that gate regardless of the crash.
I mean, also, I don't know,
zone.
that is the kind of rider that Tohoto is, though. He is 100% the kind of rider who is going to be like, hey, are you all right, mate?
Brew, are you okay?
You know, it's like, oh, he got loose as well.
Yeah, Tohoto was completely sideways.
He's seen out the corner of his eye the whole, what did you call it, 150 feet crash?
Yeah.
He's seen the whole thing happening, and that's completely off-putting for a guy like Tohoto. I mean,
So let's think about this. If Tohoto gets the DQ,
are they going to do
does that, what are we talking
We're
about
finding
here?
out right now. We've got our timing and scoring pros who are going to notify us of what protocol is here. It's not something we see very often, but thousandth of a second differential is definitely the recipe to end up in a situation we found ourselves in where there is a screenshot from that last angle where one rider's face is on the ground, the other one has lost traction and is missing a gate. That's a meme right there. You just show that screen grab and say the differential was 1,000th of a second.
Yeah, both riders absolutely on the line.
It's a double DQ. What that means is we go back to the results from run number 1, where Gilchrist had the advantage of 1,000th of a second. So we're going to keep you updated on what exactly happens in the event of a double DQ where the tiebreaker is 1,000th of a second. We'll figure out if we're going to try to run them again or if there will be some other circumstance. But right now it's all about Eddie Reynolds, who has a .15 advantage over Jackson Frew, the number 3 and number 2 qualifiers.
So as expected, Jackson Frew with the hole shot, but let's see if Eddie can turn that magic speed on and keep that advantage over Jackson. Both riders on the limit coming into these rollers. There's that little section where they get unweighted and lose traction, able to stay on. Let's see if Jackson, that looks like a decent amount.
Whoa! That is .8, which means it's definitely going to be enough. Jackson Frew knocks out Eddie Reynolds. Eddie had a peek at what it would be like to be the number 3 qualifier, knocking out the number 2 qualifier, but Jackson Frew, so consistent. He's going to be the one going into that gold medal matchup.
I mean, one thing I did notice in the first run with Jackson is he stays so low on the bike, and on a track like this being so slippery and loose, keeping your weight as low as possible is going to keep that traction. And once he gets down to the lower parts near where Ryan crashed, keeping that traction really low is going to keep that grip on your tires for longer.
Eddie with just a little bit less than perfect run out there. He wasn't as aggressive on that right-hander at the top of the course. You kind of see him here say, all right, he's got it. Well, Jackson taking that second place qualifying spot into the gold medal matchup. Let's talk to him, Elliot.
All right, Jackson Frew, you're into the finals. You're actually guaranteed a 3rd place in the King of Crankworx overall. How does it feel? Tell me about your Crankworx experience this year.
Oh, well, that checked off a big goal. The goal was top 3, so now we just get to send it and see what else we come up with tonight.
And I feel like Crankworx Whistler is probably the most prestigious slalom. You're into the finals. Are you feeling good for it?
Yeah, I think, you know, Ryan's a gnarly competitor, so I'm going to have to throw everything at the kitchen sink and then everything else it's got, but we'll have a go and see where we end up.
I mean, I know Australians are tough. Did you see his crash earlier?
No, we can't see anything. We can't hear anything at the top, so they just called Ryder down over the radio, and we were completely blind sitting in the gate. So as long as he's all good, that's the main thing, and then we'll try and put on a good show.
Oh, good. Well, great luck, and looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
So crazy. We've got Gilchrist and Frew slated for that gold medal matchup. The tiebreaker is the differential from run number 1. So Gilchrist had just the smallest advantage. It was 1,000th of a second. That puts him into the gold medal matchup against Jackson Frew. We'll update you on whether or not he's going to take that run. That would be insanely impressive.
Yeah, we've got his team manager close, trying to get little information, but it's a bit hard. I think they're all still a bit shook up about the tumble that he took on the end of the
wild
track.
Crash.
Clearly.
Well, one thing's for sure, the bronze medal matchup will be Eddie Reynolds and Tehodo. That was definitely an unprecedented circumstance. We've never seen a tiebreaker go down to 1,000th of a second from the first run.
Yeah, Crankworx is crazy and insane, like in MTB.
You are right. We agree with you.
Yeah.
And there's more coming your way tomorrow. Don't forget to join us for Speed and Style, where they're racing slalom right here on this similar course. They just deviate and hit a couple jumps. Their trick scores are then converted into time deductions. It's fun. You should come join us. Thanks for joining us right now. Bronze medal matchup, Martha Gill on the left side of your screen, Jill Kintner on the right. Jill Kintner was the #1 qualifier. Now she's got a chance to salvage the day, hopefully get a bronze here, but she's gonna have to get through Martha Gill.
Yeah, kind of a reset for Jill here. You notice she had her eyes on that gold medal. She's not gonna be in that opportunity. So right now, salvaging the day, getting that bronze is exactly what she wants, but Martha keeping her super honest. Look at these riders. Martha extending her lead a little bit, coming into these flat turns. Let's see what Jill can do and bring that momentum down to the finish.
Martha was so smooth in that rhythm section.
Whoa, look at that. It's just gonna be 500ths of a second separating them. Martha has the advantage.
Yeah, we haven't seen too many advantages coming off of that black course. So moving on to the red side, which has traditionally been a little bit faster today. She's got a little bit of confidence, hopefully.
A look back at this run, Tracy.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking in the stock, you know, if there's anything that Jill can do, she'll be hungry for that medal. And Martha has just here. She's so smooth in this rhythm section. Manual, roll, jump, man. And she just took, like, the black course is the harder course, and she's made it look easy. Look how nice she was in those flat turns. It looks like they're getting a bit carved in, though. It looks like there's a bit of a rut on that last left.
Yeah,
on the rider's right.
One of the things about slalom, the best the track will be the entire weekend is that last final run. Really gets bed in and the lines solidify.
I mean, it is nice to solidify a line when they're so flat. The turns like that around the flags, aren't they?
Absolutely. Looking at where we're at in the men's brackets, Gilchrist and Frew still kind of waiting to hear and see if Gilchrist is going to make his way back.
Well, you know, one thing I know for sure is we have Elliot Jackson down there who's closer to the action. Hopefully he's able to gain some insight onto whether or not Ryan Gilchrist will be able to take to the start gate in this gold medal matchup. Let's hear it. Elliot, what's the story down there?
So I've been coming to Crankworx for a long time. I've never seen it before where there's a double DQ. We saw Ryan crash and we knew he missed some gates, but Tehodo actually missed a gate as well, got disqualified. So we go back to the first run where Ryan beat Tehodo by 1/1000th of a second, which means that Ryan goes into the gold medal match and he will be competing against Jackson Frew.
Okay, Elliot, does it look like he's gonna be able to brush off the blood and dirt and get up there?
I mean, yeah, he looked hungry. He looked like he was ready for it. He marched back up, and man, he's a warrior.
This is awesome. Thanks for the update, Elliot. Well, this is going to be pretty fun to watch. What a champion. We're talking about how this guy is going to probably be gaining so many supporters because he's just a fun guy to watch ride a bike. He's a fun guy to listen to in an interview. We saw him with the blood, and we thought, what a champion. We didn't think there was a chance he'd be getting back up to the start. But Tracy, you're showing me a text from your brother right now. It says, yes, Gilchrist is going to the gate. We just heard that news from Elliot as well. This is so insane. What a gladiator. As Tohoto waits for Gilchrist to join him in the gate. We see here from Voxy OCE. The mountain bike community is so strong. Love it. That's true, Voxy. There we go. Yeah, Eddie Reynolds. This is the bronze medal matchup here. Eddie Reynolds and Tohoto Arikipeni. Tohoto locked up King of Crankworx overall by making it into this matchup. Eddie Reynolds won the whip-off today. Yeah, we're so excited about Gilchrist. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. It's going to be Gilchrist and Frew for that gold medal matchup. But right here, a bronze medal on the line. Eddie Reynolds so hungry.
So we've talked about all day how close to the line these riders are, and we saw Tohoto cross that line, getting that DQ in the last run. So let's see if he can bring it back just a hair, but not too much, because Eddie is not going to let off one bit. Both riders extremely fast into this bottom section, and here comes Tohoto pulling up right alongside. 0.071, almost nothing in it. You know Tohoto wants to go home with a medal. I mean, he's got the crown, he wants to add a medal. I'm sure there's some bonuses tied to it. He's not laying up at all.
Well, don't get too excited about this race, Tohoto, because Eddie is going to be on the fast course. He's only going to have 0.07 of a second to make up.
I mean, sorry.
No,
what were you gonna say?
I just said good to see Eddie charge
Yes.
so hard on that
Yeah,
challenging course. Oh boy, this just in. We're gonna go back and take a look at a replay of Eddie on this last gate. Let's see if his tires are on the proper side of this gate. Nah, I don't think so. You guys, what do you think?
Yeah, not quite. He made a good attempt at it. Looked like maybe the back tire, but that front tire clearly on the wrong side of that blue pole there.
Well, that 0.071, which looks so appetizing for Eddie,
wow.
just turned into a 1.5.
It's a cruel old gate, the last one on the right, isn't it? It's a cruel gate. We've seen it earlier when we weren't on the live in the round of 32 and the round of 16. It took out a few riders as well.
So max diff there applied for Eddie Reynolds. Tohoto's looking good for that bronze right now. He just needs a smooth run. What would that make it? That would make it 4 podiums if he's able to just have a smooth run in run number 2 here against Eddie Reynolds. Insane week for Tohoto, already locking up.
Yeah, earlier in the interview, Tohoto said he just focused on the riding. And if I had to point something out, Tohoto, I think that's the key to your success. You're focusing and you're doing nothing but getting on the podium. It's pretty amazing.
All right, this is the moment we've been looking for right here, to see Ryan Gilchrist in all of his bloody glory. Oh no, we got bronze medal. We got the gold medal matchup for the women. Here we go. I'm just so excited for that run.
You just want to see the gladiator back in the cage.
I just want to see it so bad. Here we go. Gold medal matchup for the women. Harriet Burbage-Smith and Louise Ferguson.
Both riders out of the gate super clean. Louise on the gas. You know she's got the momentum after eliminating Jill Kintner. Slight advantage there, keeping it smooth, but here comes Harriet. She's definitely pushing, pedaling in those tight S-turns. We haven't seen much of that. Pulling up right alongside of Louise. Coming down to these fast, flat turns. Let's see if Louise can bring back some of that time. And these riders unbelievably close. I cannot call it.
Yeah.
Neither can the timing.
Head to head the whole way down. And we knew we had those corners coming inside, outside, and they were just absolutely head to head the whole way down, giving each other a pat on the shoulder.
Yeah, too close to call. We need to look at the times there. Haz is going to have the lead going into their second run. It's just going to be 0.07 of a second. Let's look back at this one.
Yeah, the thing that stands out the most to me from Haz, if I had to say what gave her that advantage, it was the second pedal out of the gate. You could see her entire body go into that pedal and she rocketed out.
Yeah, it was just so cool to see how they were head to head the whole way down. They kept each other in their sights, even when one took the outside, one took the inside. They were always, you could always see each rider in your sight. So that makes for a bit of far lap racing down there.
So Harriet's got the advantage of 0.07 of a second. So still plenty of racing to go for the gold medal matchup there for the women. Looking forward to seeing them get to the top and switch sides. And here we go. We get a peek at that gladiator, getting some bandages added to that left elbow. Yeah, he's already a champion just for deciding to take this run here.
Yeah, that one's gonna hurt, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, you get like, hopefully it doesn't have a chance to even swell up yet, because you get that jiggly elbow. Oh.
Well, that's what Harriet is running. She's
True.
running that swellbow right now. I mean, she's got stitches, and she has a compression bandage, and on top of that, she has her elbow pad over it. She said she had to put the elbow pad on just to have that extra kind of pressure so she didn't feel the jiggling of her elbow.
Just like a compression sleeve just to keep it from dangling in gravity there, especially when you go through some of the braking bumps that always form on any race course. User 51, I see a warrior. That's right. I mean,
a blonde one.
Yeah, Jackson Fru's probably got all the respect in the world for Ryan Gilchrist.
Yeah.
When they load up side by side, this is going to be something we'll be talking about for a while.
Yeah, I mean, the way Ryan was riding, I don't know if we're going to see that 110%, because you would not want to fall on that elbow again, would you?
Also, ignorance is bliss, right? He was full attack. Now he knows what can happen right there.
Such a huge slam, so violent. Everything happening so fast. Gilchrist still waiting to see what's going to happen here with him in the gold medal matchup. He's got a couple of guaranteed things in his future. A painful shower and maybe being stuck to his bed when he wakes up tomorrow.
That's a rider who has crashed his fair share as well. He did a great job trying to minimize the damage there, keep his head from hitting the ground, and try to slide rather than splat. So for obvious reasons there, we're gonna let Ryan Gilchrist have a little extra time getting that bandage applied to the left elbow. So we're gonna do the bronze medal run here for the women. Only 0.05 of a second in it here for these two riders. The advantage belonging to Martha Gill, but Jill Kinder, always the competitor. This is gonna be good.
Yeah, Martha Gill doing such an amazing job this whole entire season. Gets that whole shot on Jill Kinder. Not an easy task right there. The winner of our last slalom in Innsbruck. You know she wants to lead Whistler with a medal. But here comes Jill doing what Jill does. Not going to give it to her, that's absolutely for sure. Riders pulling side by side, coming into the most technical part of the track. And it looks like Martha...
Another 0.05. She does it. Putting identical gaps into Jill Kinder. Martha Gill showing that she is the one to beat out here. She won in Innsbruck. She was the #2 qualifier. She squared head-to-head up against the #1 qualifier, Jill Kinder, and grabbed the gold.
Once again, Martha Gill.
These riders showing that showing up and winning is not something that even the great Jill Kinder, with 42 gold medals to her name and the 3-time Queen of Crankworx. These riders are putting in the time in the off-season, they're putting in time between the races, and they're getting faster every single race.
That's gotta feel good. Martha there, feeling the glory, getting that bronze medal, going up against such a competitor as Jill Kinder. Elliot standing by with Martha.
Martha Gill, I just saw you throw your goggles into the crowd. Are you pretty stoked with 3rd place, bronze medal?
Oh, I'm so stoked. This is my first ever medal in Whistler, and such an iconic place, and I'm just so buzzing, yeah.
What is it that makes Whistler so special?
Oh, I don't know, like I've been watching Joyride on the TV since I was young. I remember the first time coming here. I raced EWS here a few times, and now to get a medal here at Crankworx is just unreal.
You have any big things planned for tomorrow for Speed and Style?
Not really.
You're just gonna go out, take that speed from slalom, and throw some tricks into it.
Yeah, speed and style isn't exactly my strongest point, but I'll give it a crack and see how it goes.
Well, great job.
Thank you so much.
Martha Gill with the bronze medal there. And you know, anytime you go up against Jill Kinder, it doesn't matter if it's a bronze a gold. If you beat Jill Kittner, that's something to celebrate. It's cool for these younger riders too to get the chance to go up against the GOAT here in all these disciplines here for the women's category. Definitely beating Jill in dual slalom is nothing to take lightly. So bronze medal matchup for the men. Run number 2 here between Tohoto Arikipene, the newly crowned king of Crankworx for the 2023 season. He's battling out against the youngster Eddie Reynolds, who we thought it was gonna just be a tight margin of 700ths until we saw the replay and realized that Eddie had missed a gate. So Tohoto is able to grab the bronze here as long as he's able to just put down a clean run.
Yeah, it's no easy task, and we know anything can happen in this discipline. Eddie's gonna be laying it down as hard as he can. Let's see what he can do. Can he do it, and can he stay on 2 wheels and not go over the line? Let's watch.
Eddie's charging so hard, but 1.5 is so tough to make up. Tohoto's just got to keep it on 2 wheels here. Tohoto Arikipene does it, grabs the bronze medal, his 4th podium out here at Crankworx Whistler this year. Nice little icing on the cake for the newly crowned king of Crankworx.
Just comes into Whistler and starts stacking medals. I'd love to see it.
Why not another 60 points? So that's 280 points he's racked up already here at Crankworx Whistler. Man, what a rider. So excited. I'm already excited for next season to see if he can defend this crown. But also this youngster, Eddie Reynolds, coming out of nowhere. I was watching him ride at the Northwest Tune-Up just last week. He's a kid that I saw riding as a Grom at Kyle Straight's Straight Acres compound, and everybody was saying, hey, this kid's got what it takes. This kid's gonna be a real deal. You know what? The hype was the real deal. So Elliot, let's hear from Tohoto.
Tohoto, you've medaled every single event that you've done this week. Is there one that is the most special to you so far?
Probably the downhill. That's my favorite event, so that's probably, yeah, that one.
And I saw you as you were leaving the corral last time. You had all of these fans, so many kids coming up to you. Have you ever felt that much love?
Oh, yeah, at home.
I mean, the thing that I think is so interesting to me is that you started on the Crankworx World Tour when you were in Rotorua and you won that first pump track race. Did you ever imagine that you would be here as king of Crankworx?
No, I was pretty keen to do them all, but I was just like taking them one race by the next race, and then, yeah, and then deciding whether I come to the next one or not, so lucky I did, eh?
Well, man, we love it, the new king.
Cheers, bro.
Yeah. Well, he's lucky he did. We're lucky he did because he put on such an amazing show for us. Big congratulations to Tohoto Arikipene. There we go, on screen. Been so looking forward to this. This story is insane. Ryan Gilchrist is going to line up in the gate against Jackson Frew for our men's gold medal matchup after that insane crash we just saw him take in the semifinals. But he had that 1,000th of a second advantage, and the tiebreaker was whoever won run number 1. So we're letting him have all the time he needs to patch up the elbow, get his wits about him. You can see the respect. You heard in the interview, Jackson Frew, all the respect in the world for Ryan Gilchrist. Gilchrist still wants to see if he can salvage this gold medal. He's guaranteed a silver.
Yeah, which is unbelievable. After a huge crash like that and then managing to, worst case scenario, he's walking away with the silver medal. I think it might hurt a little bit though, starting in the start gate.
Yeah, it's interesting up there. He looks like he's all patched up. The medics are talking to him. Here he comes. That's right, Tomei. Come on, Ryan. Everybody loves a comeback.
So this will be run number 1 here between Jackson Frew and Ryan Gilchrist.
We know how strong Gilchrist is on the bike. We get to see now how strong he is in the head. Biggest mental challenge of the day for him, for sure. Huge crash. Kind of getting iced. His whole body is cooled off. He's bandaged up. Let's see what he can do.
See how much he attacks here. Here we go, Jackson Fruin, Ryan Gilchrist on course.
Pretty strong start out of Gilchrist. Both riders looking really good. Jackson getting that hole shot, but Gilchrist is going to keep him honest. Overturning a little bit there. You see him spin out. And I think he knows the riding is on the wall. He's just happy to be healthy and riding down this track right now.
Yeah, you can see the timing is off there for Gilchrist. Hard to not be shook up after such a huge crash. Jackson's going to put the 1-5 on Gilchrist, and we're just glad to see Gilchrist able to ride his bike right now. We got all the respect in the world for him taking to that starting gate, but no surprise that he's not looking as strong as he has all day.
And I mean, you know, you're a racer. When you get in that start gate, you race. But then he was quickly reminded of the pain he had felt not long earlier by that little slide out. He had, you know, hidden into that berm and then sliding out a little. It's a quick reminder of how bad it felt when he was rolling down the dirt not too long ago.
You see Jackson looking up the hill as they're fixing the flag. So this is going to be really interesting. Watch Jackson's tires. Oh yeah, he's good. He's on the outside.
Yeah, that was a pedal clip. That would have really continued to make things interesting. Yeah, we don't need any more of these crazy plot twists. It's already been a crazy enough final here at the Crankworx Whistler Dual Slalom.
Yeah, both tires around. He did hit the gate, but the rules are the tires have to be on the outside.
Well, let's throw it down to Elliott.
Man, Ryan Gilchrist, I've never seen a slalom race with so much drama. We have reviews, there's, you know, a ton of blood on your shirt. What happened? Take us through that crash.
I'd actually like to see a replay of it myself. It was pretty gnarly, and I just felt like I was in a washing machine for a few seconds there. But thankfully, my head's all good, my body's all good, got a bit of a sore wrist. But yeah, sorry, Mum. I mean, look, Jackson just put down the fastest time of the day, so there's no disputing that he's definitely done something special, and I was like a little bit iffy about doing this race, so I'm pretty sure we're ready to call it here and give Jackson the gold.
Well, we do have a bit of a replay for you if you want to take a look and maybe try to fix some mistakes from the last time.
Oh!
That was a good one.
Whoa!
Oh, fair play.
Yeah, I mean,
If you're going to do it, you might as well do it.
yeah, look, is it my hand? Oh, no, I did it with that. Wow. Oh. That's tough. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm glad I'm okay right now. That was absolutely savage. Thanks as always. Oh, yeah, I hit my hand on the gate. Yeah, okay. Well, I'm in one piece. I'm at the bottom of the hill. I was like not sure if it was going to be Toto or me. I mean, I'm a little bit gutted for Toto not being able to fight here because, I mean, Jackson going home by default in the gold medal isn't always what you want. But I mean, being at the top and knowing that silver's the worst I can do, it's hard to really smash something when I'm sore. So at the end of the day, I'm happy, and congrats to Jackson for the win.
Well, nice job. I think all of us are super pumped for you. Jackson, I mean, like we were talking about, so much drama here, and you're in that gold medal position. I mean, tell me what is going through your head at this moment.
Well, it's one run of slalom, so my head's still on, all right, what can I improve on? Where can I go faster? And I think there's more time on the quicker track. So for the moment, that's where my head's at, but I'm sure in a couple seconds here it might sink in that, wow.
What does it look like as a rider, kind of seeing that? What kind of goes through your mind when you see a crash, if you, maybe for Ryan, like seeing himself crash?
Well, thankfully I didn't see it, which is probably good because I was sitting in the gate, which probably would have thrown me off against Eddie, and I probably wouldn't be here talking to you. So, no, I mean, fair play to Ryan. He got up, and if you're going to go down, you might as well go down spectacularly, I suppose. Like, that's fair play.
Well, nice job. We'll be looking at the next run. Good luck.
Thank you.
You could hear Jackson in the background while Ryan was watching his crash going, whoa, fair play. Hey, if you're going to do it, do it. I love listening to Ryan going like, oh, that's why this is sore.
I mean, it was curious that Ryan said his hand hit the gate, which means it would have jammed on that brake, completely brought him to a stop, and that's why we just saw him go through a washing machine.
Yeah, maybe that was it. That his brake is on that other side, being from Australia. I was looking at it, it looked like the way that the gate actually, when his front tire hit the gate, it looked like it got underneath his tire, and for a split second, he was just on a plastic gate, and that's what broke his front tire loose and set it all off.
Well, look what we have here. The gold medal matchup right here. Run 2, all on the line for the women. Only 0.07 of a second separating the leader, Harriet, over Louise Ferguson. Here we go.
Harriet with the hole shot. Louise on her best day ever on a slalom track, looking to up it from silver to gold. Let's see what she can do here, bringing it side by side with Harriet. Harriet's been watching all day. She knows she cannot give an inch for Louise coming down into this last section, drifting completely.
Harriet's gonna do it. She had the advantage coming into this matchup. She crosses the finish line first here in run number 2. A gold medal, 3 for the season in slalom for Harriet Burbage-Smith. Hey, also the fastest 2 times of the day.
Such a great day for Harriet. You know, sometimes when you come into an event injured, it takes your mind out of the event and you just focus on being there and you're happy to be there. And sometimes that's all you need to really elevate yourself. And Harriet used that to her advantage. She didn't complain once in an interview about her elbow. It was completely out of her mind. 1 race at a time, and she did what needed to be done.
Absolutely incredible moment.
She won in Rotorua, she won in Cairns, she wins here in Whistler. 3 out of the 4 stops. And Elliott is standing by with Harriet.
You just had a perfect slalom season. How does that feel?
Yeah, pretty good. 3 wins and 1 crash. Pretty good. I was stoked to. It's my first Whistler medal ever, which has been like a dream since I first ever came to Crankworx in 2018. And the podium, Martha, Louise, let's go.
I mean, yeah, what does it mean to stand on the podium with all of your friends?
It honestly means everything. It makes it genuinely 100 times better. Like, can't even make that up.
And what was the key this year? It felt like you just hit a new gear in the slalom races.
I don't know. I have fun. I enjoy the tracks and a little bit of trial and error with crashing. But this week I couldn't crash because I definitely didn't want to do that. But yeah, just trying to push it as far as I could, and it clicked today again. So I was happy with that.
Congrats.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out, guys.
So fun to hear these competitors who are getting their first podium at Whistler say it just means so much to do it here. We've got a 4-stop series throughout the season, but there's something special about Whistler, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a medal anywhere is one thing, but a medal in the heart of where it all started here in Whistler, I mean, there's nothing better.
Yeah, and I mean, there is nothing like the taste of your first Whistler medal. And I think a big part of it is that Crankworx and Whistler are intertwined, and that's where Crankworx really got the ball rolling, is Whistler. And Whistler, especially when you're coming all the way from Australia, it's mountain biking mecca, and to take your first Crankworx medal here, I mean, like she said, it's awesome.
All these riders have watched it for so many years, and so you see the enthusiasm as they feel this Crankworx spirit, where the whole festival started here in Whistler. But the big story of the day today is the fact that we crowned a king for the 2023 Crankworx World Tour. His name is Tohoto Ariki Pene. Ariki, of course, a name that has a connotation of royalty in the Maori culture, so it's only fitting that he has now secured the crown. Couldn't have happened to a better guy. You know, love to see it. He said he prioritized bike riding over everything else here in Whistler. Talking about Whistler, it's easy to accidentally prioritize some other elements that you can get into here in Whistler.
Yeah, there's distractions everywhere, but no more distractions than in anywhere than Whistler Village. But Tohoto doing what needed to be done. He knew he had it, and like we were talking about earlier, I think he saw that crown on the horizon. He knew what he needed to do, and now that he's done it, the momentum is on his side. He's got a whole half of the downhill season to go. He talked earlier that that's his favorite discipline. So it's really going to be interesting to see how his career takes off from this point.
Well, a win in pump track last night, a 3rd in the Air DH, a 3rd in the 1199. Not a bad week for Tohoto Ariki Pene. It's almost like the $20,000 and the crown's just the icing on the cake for a rider who's been just taking it one race at a time all season. All right, Tracy, final thoughts from the day.
I mean, so many thoughts, but one is amazing. Like, I'm so stoked for Toto. He's taken that crown home, and you know, it couldn't be a more chill, more easygoing lad. And the way that he just took the pressure that he would have been feeling in his stride, that impressed me.
I think for me, I'm just glad everyone's okay. That was an intense day of racing.
For sure. I couldn't agree with you more. Just something like seeing Ryan Gilchrist even considering taking that run. Congratulations to Martha, Louise, and Harriet for standing on the podium out here for the women's category. Congratulations to Tahoto, Ryan Gilchrist, and Jackson Frew. Jackson Frew taking the win for the men. Well, guess what? It is not over. It is far from over. We got Speed and Style tomorrow, Joyride on Saturday. We will see you then. Good night.